A brash new guy just joined our company. He happens to be my girlfriend's best male friend. He's also the moonlight to my senior shadow. In a previous life, he hinted that a major client we worked with was his father. This earned him admiration from everyone around. He tricked me into drinking coffee laced with disinfectant. While I was in agony, trying to throw it up, he poured boiling water over my head. My whole body was burned. Not only was my face disfigured, I lost my ability to speak forever. It took all my strength to be moved from the operating room to a hospital bed. When I finally regained consciousness, he poured a whole bowl of spicy pot onto my wounds. In unbearable pain, I roared, determined to confront him. But my girlfriend and senior stood shielding him, looking at me with nothing but disgust. Later, my wounds became severely infected. I died a slow, agonizing death before my family could arrive. Meanwhile, he took over my position, living a glamorous life in the spotlight. Now I've returned reborn. As soon as I opened my eyes, it was the day of the celebration party again. Oh dear, Jonggu. Sorry, I got your clothes all messed up. I just noticed one of your buttons was loose and tried to fix it. Didn't mean to tear it off. Feng Jian's apologetic voice echoed. I felt a cold sensation on my chest. Struggling, I forced my eyes open. Looking down, I saw my shirt had been torn apart. Exactly like it had in my past life. Oh dear. Goo! Why do you have a smudge on your shirt? Could it be a lipstick stain from some woman? I even saw you leaving that shop last night. Didn't expect that from you. Seems like you've been living quite freely. Feng Jian acted all carefree, completely unguarded. He winked at me suggestively, half-jokingly teasing me with a mocking tone. I frowned and lowered my head, staring at the smudged red mark on my collar, which had a faint, delicate fragrance. It even shimmered slightly. Clearly a woman's lipstick stain, but it wasn't from any woman leaning on me. Feng Jian had deliberately planted it in the chaos, just to frame me. Laughter and mocking jeers echoed around us. In my previous life, I had been enraged by Feng Jian's sarcastic remarks and ended up having a fierce argument with him. He edited the video of our fight, turning it into evidence of me bullying the company's newcomer. Even after my death, I was savaged online. People went as far as to Photoshop my face onto a dog's body, calling me a scum who deserved to die as a dog. Even in death, a dog like him stays a dog. Feng Jian, do you dare deny that you did it on purpose? My eyes burned with fury, glaring at him with seething hatred. Jonggu, it's just a shirt, isn't it? Is it worth making such a big deal over? I'm new here. I still need your guidance and help. At worst, when my father's payment for the project arrives, I'll compensate you double. Feng Jian quickly covered his mouth, as if he'd said too much, his gaze darting nervously as he pretended to stay calm. His flustered reaction only made his words more believable. Seeing the fury in my eyes, he immediately ducked behind my girlfriend, Liu Ryan, a flash of smugness and triumph crossing his eyes. Ryan, yeah. I've already apologized, but Changzhe is still so angry. Is it because I accidentally spoiled the surprise I had for you? Liu Ryan's frown deepened as she listened to Feng Jian's words, her expression growing darker with every moment she looked at me. I never saw him buying any items, she muttered. Ah, you never saw them? Then, Changzhe, who did you buy them for? Oh, no wonder I saw him at a hotel with some middle-aged woman before. Oh dear, did I say something I shouldn't have? Feng Jian shouted as if he had just revealed a scandalous secret, making sure everyone in the meeting room heard him. He painted a picture of me carrying intimate items to a hotel to meet an older woman. I could feel Liu Ryan's eyes glaring at me with suspicion, and my colleagues' contemptuous stares tightening around me. The hatred in my heart only grew stronger. In my previous life, this was exactly his strategy. He would provoke me until I lost control and embarrassed myself. Then he'd subtly imply that he was connected to a powerful client. Everyone eager to please the key benefactor showered Feng Jian with flattery and attention. Even Liu Ryan and my senior Zhang Rou, who had worked with me for years, indulged him endlessly. He once used an apology as an excuse to pour me a cup of coffee. But who would have guessed that he spiked it with disinfectant? I became dizzy, my stomach racked with pain. Even my voice turned scratchy and weak. I desperately needed to get to a hospital, but Feng Jian came over with a large kettle, claiming it would help me vomit. Instead, he poured the entire boiling contents onto my body, leaving me with severe burns all over. I clutched my face, crying out in agony, while Feng Jian pretended to be shocked, grabbing Liu Ryan's hand, muttering that he didn't mean to do it. Liu Ryan patted his hand gently, soothing him with quiet words. She even had someone delete the security footage, costing me the best window for treatment by the time I was rushed into surgery. To treat my severe burns, the company had already completed the contract signing and received the payment. They were even holding a grand celebration party. Feng Jian became the company's golden boy, instantly promoted to take over my position, while I lay alone in the hospital, enduring the agony of a ruined face. The most infuriating part was when Liu Ryan, to cover up Feng Jian's assault, took away my phone, stopping me from contacting my family. Even my senior, Zhang Rou, transferred all the credit for my hard work over to Feng Jian. When I regained consciousness, they ignored my pain, forcing me to sign a waiver absolving Feng Jian of any wrongdoing. I refused, so Feng Jian poured a whole bowl of spicy hot pot over my fresh wounds. He watched my agony with a cruel yet innocent expression, turning to Liu Ryan and Zhang Rou, claiming it was just an accident. That wasn't on purpose either, he said. He's already half dead, so what's a little more damage? Liu Ryan's gaze fixed on me. It was full of disgust and loathing, as if she were looking at trash. The infection from my burns grew worse. I didn't make it long enough for my family to arrive. I died bitterly, consumed by rage. Whenever I recall the suffering I endured, the fury in my heart only swells tenfold. Coldly, I stared at Feng Jian. I let a mocking smile curve on my lips. You keep insisting I was meeting a middle-aged woman at a hotel, I said. But what were you doing at the hotel? Isn't it like the thief crying stop thief? Maybe the one luring older women. There was actually you. The moment the words left my mouth, Feng Jian's expression froze, then quickly shifted to one of outraged innocence, as he leaned pitifully against Liu Ryan's shoulder. Ryan, yeah, he said, I'm telling the truth. Changzhe is just embarrassed and lashing out. Now, I'm worried he'll make my life miserable at work. Maybe I should just quit. But I don't know if the contract signing later will go smoothly without me. He sighed, playing the part of the wronged victim, though every word was a veiled threat, using the client as leverage. This deal was the result of months of hard work by the entire company. If it went through, the company would be on a new level of success. As the project manager, Liu Ryan couldn't afford to let the deal fall apart. Hearing Feng Jian's words, she stormed towards me and slapped me hard across the face. Chang Wei, she snapped, you're rotten to the core, looking down on everyone. What did Zifeng say that was wrong? If you weren't sneaking around in a hotel, why would anyone have seen you there? I must have been blind to fall for you back then. If only you had half the loyalty of Zifeng, you wouldn't have ripped your clothes in front of everyone like that. I spent 2,000 on that suit for you, and you've just ruined it like this. From now on, I'm not spending another cent on you. I held my burning cheek, staring at Liu Ryan. It was Feng Jian who had torn the clothes. I was the victim here, yet Liu Ryan blamed it all on me. I noticed before that Changzhe always wore designer brands, Feng Jian said slyly, spending money like it's nothing. His salary couldn't possibly cover it all, right? Could it be that those were gifts from other women? Ryan, yeah. I really don't think he's worth it for you. Feng Jian rested his hand on Liu Ryan's shoulder, trying to drive a wedge between us, looking as if he wanted to pull her completely into his embrace. Compared to the false accusations thrown at me, They looked far more like the true shameless couple. As memories of the torment I suffered in my past life resurfaced, I wanted nothing more than to tear them both apart. Just as I raised my hand to strike back, my senior, Zhang Rou, opened the door and walked in. Feng Jian wiped away fake tears and rushed to her side. "Senior," he said with a tremble in his voice, "I saw Chang doing something shameful, and now he's threatening to sabotage me at work. Will the company fire me because of him? I'd hate to leave you all behind." Feng Jian's eyes were rimmed with red, as if truly distressed, and Zhang Ru's gaze softened with sympathy. "You didn't do anything wrong," she assured him. "Why would they fire you? If anyone's leaving, it'll be Changwei. Besides, in a little while, we have a new software program launching. We'll just put your name on it. It'll make your resume shine with a bit of prestige." Hearing this, I flew into a rage. "No way," I shouted. "I spent 6 months developing that program. Why should my name be replaced with his?" I had already experienced a lifetime of betrayal, but the fury inside me still burned uncontrollably. How could they stoop this low? "What's the problem?" Zhang Rou scoffed. "You work for the company, so you do what the company says. It's just a few lines of code. Did you really think it was something precious?" "Changwei," she said coldly, "if you don't hand the program over to Feng Jian, then you can leave the company for good." Her face was expressionless, though she had watched me pour my heart and soul into developing the program. Now she dismissed my efforts as worthless, all for Feng Jian's sake. "Really?" I stared at her, feeling utterly devalued. "Yes." Changwei, Liu Ryan chimed in. "If you had any shame left, you'd resign quietly right now. Instead of embarrassing yourself like this, you've already humiliated me by cheating," she spat. "And now you've got lipstick stains from some other slut flaunted all over you. Don't you find yourself disgusting?" As Liu Ryan hurled insults at me, she advanced closer, stretching out her hand to take the flash drive from my pocket. I refused, jerking away, desperately trying to escape the office. But Feng Jian moved quickly, blocking the door. "Changzhe," he said with a mocking smile, "for the sake of the company's future and your own reputation, you should just hand over the program. We can still get along peacefully after that. But if you don't, and you're the one who ruins the company's fate, it won't just end with a simple dismissal." His words made Liu Ryan and Zhang Ru's faces darken even further. They rushed forward, slamming me down onto the desk, tearing at my clothes in a brutal search, ripping them apart as they looked for anything I might be hiding. I fought back with all my strength, rage consuming me. I shouted for the others in the office to call the police, but for the sake of the grand promises Feng Jian had dangled before them, they all chose to turn a blind eye. One by one, they averted their guilty gazes. After searching me for a while, Feng Jian, failing to find what he was looking for, put on a face of feigned disappointment. "Ryan, yeah," he sighed. "Senior, maybe we should just give up. It seems like the company really doesn't have what it takes to partner with anyone." All my effort convincing my father was wasted. His words made everything crystal clear to everyone else. They knew what he was implying. Feng Jian intended to use my program to secure a partnership. Liu Ryan's gaze grew even more vicious. She raised her high heel and kicked it sharply against my knee, forcing me to kneel. "Changwei," she hissed, "I'm telling you to hand over the flash drive, or I'll make sure you never touch a keyboard again." With that threat, she pressed the pointed tip of her stiletto hard into my fingers. The excruciating pain made me scream in agony. Feng Jian's eyes gleamed with satisfaction, though his words dripped with mock concern. "Are we going too far?" he asked. "Will Changzhe hold a grudge against me for this?" "What does it matter?" Zhang Rou replied coldly. "As long as we have him by the throat, he wouldn't dare defy us." Her eyes roved over my disheveled clothes, and a malicious smile crept across her face. The next moment, she ordered someone to take pictures of me in my humiliated state. "No, stop," I shouted desperately. "Fine, I'll give it." Panic overtook me, and I finally gave in. Only then did Liu Ryan let out a cold scoff, removing her heel from my crushed fingers. She grabbed my hair roughly, forcing me to hand over the flash drive. But the flash drive was back at my apartment. I'll call a delivery service to bring it over right now, I said, reaching for my phone. They watched me closely, afraid that I might run or call the police. Every eye was fixed on me as I made the call, and only after I hung up did they relax slightly. Liu Ryan immediately snatched the phone from my hand. My face was pale, and I was trembling uncontrollably. Liu Ryan and Zhang Ro looked at me like I was a cornered thief, their eyes blazing with the madness of an impending deal. Now that it's settled, Liu Ryan said, let the celebration begin. After all, the contract was as good as signed, a sure thing. Feng Jian, savoring his victory, beamed triumphantly, wrapping his arms around both Liu Ryan and Zhang Ro, urging them to celebrate. To appease him, everyone pretended as if nothing had happened. They surrounded him, groveling, fawning like sycophantic dogs. I huddled in the corner, hoping for a chance to escape. But Feng Jian seemed determined not to let me have even that. As everyone was eating and drinking, he walked over, holding a cup of coffee. Changzhe, he said with a fake smile. Ryan Yat and the senior were just a bit too eager earlier, and that's why they ended up hurting you. If you'd listened to them earlier, you wouldn't have had to suffer. Take this coffee as my apology. Let's just bury the hatchet. What do you say? I stared at the familiar coffee cup, knowing full well it was laced with disinfectant. There was no way I was going to drink it. Once the delivery guy brought the flash drive, I'd be out of here. I'll pass, I said coldly, keeping a wary eye on him. Ryan, yeah, he turned to Liu Ryan, senior, addressing Zhang Ro. Changzhe must still be angry. He's refusing to drink this coffee. He must be planning to get back at me the moment he gets out of here, Feng Jian said anxiously, eyeing the two women. They frowned, then strode over and pinned me down. When Zifeng offers you coffee, he's giving you face, Liu Ryan sneered. Don't refuse a toast only to end up forced to drink it. Now drink up. She pried my mouth open, trying to force the coffee down my throat. I knew it was poisoned. There was no way I'd drink it willingly. In my desperate struggle, I found my target. I gathered all my strength and punched Liu Ryan hard. She staggered back uncontrollably, colliding directly with Feng Jian. Caught off guard, he tumbled backward into the edge of the desk. On the desk sat a kettle of freshly boiled water, which toppled over, pouring all over him. My face, Feng Jian screamed, his face turning an angry, scalded red. Blisters began to swell, making his appearance look horrifying. Call an ambulance, quick. Zifeng, don't worry. It's going to be okay, Liu Ryan shouted at the stunt colleagues nearby, cuddling Feng Jian in her arms and whispering soothing words. Feng Jian clutched his face, his emotions spiraling out of control. I only wanted to apologize to Changzhe, he cried, but he's ruined my face. If I'm scarred, I'd rather not live. My father, he'll be so heartbroken. Feng Jian's words made Liu Ryan and Zhang Ru's expressions darken even further. Their eyes, now fixed on me, were venomous. If Zifeng's face is ruined, Liu Ryan said coldly, then let Chang Wei pay the price too. Without another word, Liu Ryan grabbed the kettle to refill it. Zhang Ro yanked my hair, forcing me down onto my knees. Chang Wei, she hissed. You worthless piece of trash, Zhang Ro sneered. It's an honor for you to suffer the same pain as Zifeng, she continued. Here's the kettle, do with it as you wish. Liu Ryan handed the kettle, now full of boiling water, over to Feng Jian. His face was covered in blisters, but his eyes burned with a terrifying madness. No, I shouted. It was Liu Ryan who bumped into you. Don't hurt me. I tried to struggle, but Zhang Ro and several colleagues held me down tightly. If you hadn't refused the coffee, Feng Jian snarled, I wouldn't look like this now. This is all your fault. His expression twisted into a demonic fury. As he stepped closer, my heart sank into a pit of despair. I had been reborn, and yet it seemed I couldn't escape a brutal fate. Just as the kettle was about to pour its contents onto me, the conference room doors burst open with a deafening bang. A swarm of people stormed in, Let's see who dares to touch my son. A commanding voice boomed, and Liu Ryan's and Zhang Ru's faces turned pale. Standing at the entrance was a stern-faced middle-aged man, his presence radiating authority. Behind him followed a group of people, including the project manager they were supposed to sign the contract with. Chairman, the project manager said in surprise, "What brings you here?" Everyone in the room froze, unable to believe that the man standing before them was the chairman of the client's company, Feng Jian. Given his status, he should have never appeared in a place like this. There could be only one reason: to protect his son. "Good afternoon, Chairman," Liu Ryan greeted quickly. "We are so sorry. It was our oversight that led to your son getting hurt." As the project manager, Liu Ryan hurried over to greet Feng Jian, putting on a pained expression. She gestured to Feng Jian, whose face was covered in blisters. "Chairman," she said, "we were in the middle of a celebration for Zifeng, but Changwei, out of jealousy over Zifeng's ability to develop the program dependently, poured boiling water on him. The injury occurred on company grounds, so we will take full responsibility. But as for the one who caused it, Changwei is the real culprit." With that, Liu Ryan gently guided Feng Jian closer to his father, her demeanor protective and tender. To an outsider, it almost seemed as if they were a couple. But just when everyone expected the chairman to show concern, he abruptly pushed them both aside, clearly irritated. Without even glancing at Feng Jian, he strode rapidly towards me, still pinned down. "Changwei," he said urgently, "look at your father. Don't scare me like this." Chairman Feng's eyes widened as he saw me lying helplessly on the floor, my clothes disheveled, my face swollen and bruised. The sight of it all made his eyes burn with rage. He ordered the bodyguards behind him to yank Zhang Ru off me, freeing me from her grip. They carefully helped me to my feet. "Dad, I whispered hoarsely. "You really came." The moment I heard my father's voice, the weight on my chest finally lifted. Earlier, when I was making that delivery call, I had discreetly pressed the emergency alert button. The program will send my location along with an alert to my emergency contacts. One of them is my father. Fortunately, he made it in time. Otherwise, I would have been doomed to repeat the same tragic path as in my previous life. I couldn't bear the thought of dying without seeing my parents one last time. But now, reborn, I get to see him again. All the grievances that had been bottled up spilled over in an instant. I hugged him tightly and burst into tears. "Dad, impossible. How are you the son of Chairman Feng?" Liu Ryan was so shocked by my cry of "Dad" that she was completely lost for words. Her eyes darted back and forth between me and Feng Jian. "I think I mentioned it before," I said calmly. "I go by my mother's surname." Looking over my father's shoulder, I stared at her coldly. "Did you really think I didn't know what was going on?" Ever since Feng Jian showed up, he had hinted time and again about his close ties with the Feng Corporation. It was thanks to him that our company landed the big deal. Facing the young master of the conglomerate, Liu Ryan clearly felt that having me, an ordinary person, as her boyfriend was suddenly inconvenient. She had been overtly biased towards Feng Jian from the start, while treating me with disdain and contempt. All for the dream of marrying into wealth and securing financial freedom, right? Well, she almost succeeded. But now, I don't want her anymore. "Darling, you've misunderstood." Liu Ryan's face was ashen, as if she had just swallowed something foul. She moved to explain, but was firmly restrained by the bodyguards. "My son isn't someone you lackeys can bully. Get ready to face the consequences." "Wait for your reckoning," my father said coldly. He held me up, supporting my weight, and looked at Liu Ryan with an expression so full of hatred, it seemed he wanted to tear her apart. Then he turned to me, eyes filled with disappointment. "Look, this is the girlfriend you chose for yourself. Your judgment is just as bad as this company's performance. All those months you begged me to invest, wasted. So how does it feel now?" Yes, this entire investment I had begged my father to make. I wanted to give Liu Ryan and Zhang Fan a chance. I didn't want to hide my true identity any longer. I had hoped that at the family gathering, in front of my father's business partners, I could proudly introduce them. This is my girlfriend and my business partner. But now, looking back, it was all a pathetic joke. I forced a bitter smile and sincerely apologized to my father. I understand my mistake. I will never do something so foolish again. As soon as those words left my lips, I let all my weight fall onto my father's shoulder, and I said nothing more. I allowed him to support me without any resistance. Behind us, I heard Liu Ryan pleading and questioning Feng Jian. Didn't you say your father was our partner? How did it turn out to be Chang Wei's father instead? What are you, really? Ryan, please. Don't be so harsh. My face hurts. Feng Jian's voice, panicked and desperate, faded into the distance. Just like the conclusion of my past life, I was finally free. At the hospital, my injuries were not severe, but my father, noticing my poor condition, insisted that I stay for a few days to undergo a thorough checkup. Helpless, I had no choice but to lie in the hospital bed. I watched my father frown as he dealt with the mess I had made. I was the only heir of the Feng Corporation, and yet people from that company had humiliated me so openly, and they still dared to expect an investment from us? Well, our collaboration ends here. As for those who hurt my son, our legal team will handle it. He gave the final instructions with a firm tone, then turned to look at me. Focus on getting better, he said. Leave everything else to me. Dad, I called out softly. I won't chase after impossible dreams anymore. Once I'm out of the hospital, I'll go to the company and start from the ground up. In the past, I didn't want to live under the title of the Feng Corporation's young master. I was determined to achieve something on my own. That's why I had hidden my identity. But reality had hit me hard and left me battered. Forget it. Being given a second chance at life was already a gift from the heavens. Now, my only desire is to stay by my parents' side and make up for past regrets. Just when I thought I could finally rest in peace, Liu Ryan started bombarding me with calls and messages. She was either desperately apologizing, saying she regretted everything, or furiously calling Feng Jian a liar. If it weren't for his schemes, she claimed, we wouldn't have ended up like this. But I had already seen her true colors in my previous life, and I wasn't about to be swayed by her empty words. I blocked every single account she used to contact me. Whenever she switched to a new number, I blocked that too. Eventually, I got tired of the harassment, so I just changed my own number. Finally, the world was at peace. 3 days later, finally, my father released me from the hospital. But the moment I stepped out the hospital doors, 3 people rushed at me, blocking my way. Darling, Liu Ryan's voice rang out as she stood before me. I've missed you so much these past few days. You have no idea. She looked at me with a face full of longing, as if I were the one who had wronged her. I stepped back in disgust, and my 2 bodyguards immediately shoved her aside. Now you're calling me darling? I said coldly. Weren't you the one who called me an idiot before? I crossed my arms, mocking her pathetic act, my eyes completely devoid of any trace of affection. They were as cold and unfamiliar as if she were a stranger. Jinbai, she pleaded. No, it's not like that. I was just angry back then. I thought you betrayed me, she said. And that's why I said those terrible things. Doesn't that prove how much I love you? I can't live without you. Love me, I asked, incredulous. By insulting me? By hitting me? By threatening to scar my face with boiling water? Wow, what a blessing that is. I had no interest in continuing the conversation. I signaled the bodyguards to push her away. But before I could take more than a couple of steps, Feng Jian, his face still bandaged, dropped to his knees with a heavy thud in front of me. Chang Wei, he cried out. It's all my fault. I messed everything up because of my own stupidity. If I hadn't told Liu Ryan that you were at a hotel with another woman, she wouldn't have misunderstood you. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Please, I beg you, don't harm Liu Ryan or the seniors. The company is innocent too. Even if you've destroyed my face, he said, his voice trembling. I have no regrets. Please, stop tormenting us, Feng Jian pleaded, his voice desperate. He was certainly skilled with his words, positioning himself on the moral high ground, while twisting the truth to his advantage. He conveniently left out all the terrible things he had done to me. He started bowing repeatedly, even slapping himself hard across the face. Blood seeped through the bandages on his face, as if he thought this pitiful display would force me to give in. To be honest, since my true identity was revealed, his fraudulent tricks had completely fallen apart. An investigation by the company uncovered the truth. The so-called father he kept boasting about was merely a mid-level manager at Feng Corporation, who just happened to be involved in the recent contract signing. Feng Jian had only recently made contact with this person, using whatever small favors he could muster. He had convinced the manager to put on a show during negotiations, making it seem like he had significant backing within the company. This illusion allowed him to maintain a position at the company, but in the end, he ruined everything. The investment was withdrawn, the company was blacklisted, and Feng Jian became the scapegoat for it all. The general manager demanded he compensate for the losses, but he was already broke, and the mounting pressure pushed him to hatch the idea of ambushing me at the hospital. The hospital entrance was already crowded with people, and with Feng Jian's dramatic antics, a dense crowd had gathered, blocking every possible exit. I was trapped in the center of it all, with countless phones shoved in my face, recording every moment, while whispers and pointing fingers surrounded me from all directions. Seeing the spectacle unfold, I saw a flash of calculation in Feng Jian's eyes, and his voice became even more pitiful as he begged for mercy. Zhang Fan, who had been standing on the side, also started pleading. Junior brother, we were just joking around with you. Look, you're perfectly fine, but poor Feng's face will take a long time to heal. After all these years of friendship, are you really that heartless? I stared at Zhang Fan, my sharp gaze making her avert her eyes in guilt. So I deserve to be slapped, to have my fingers stepped on, and nearly stripped naked for your amusement, if that's what you call friendship. I want no part of it, keep it for yourselves. With that, I walked away, shielded by my bodyguards. Back at the villa, I packed up everything Liu Ryan had ever bought me and mailed it all back to her. Then I decided to go get a haircut, symbolically cutting away all the bad luck. I knew they wouldn't give up so easily. Sure enough, the very next day I was trending on social media. I watched the replay of last night's livestream and couldn't help but laugh coldly. In the video, Feng Jian, face wrapped in bandages, held up an injury report, with tears and snot running down his face. He told the camera how I had scalded him. He even edited the footage from the meeting room security cameras, making it look like I was the one bullying him. To show the world how overbearing I was, Zhang Wei comes from a prestigious background. We ordinary folks can't afford to provoke someone like him. But we're still human. Don't we deserve a chance to survive? Feng Corporation blacklisted our company. They left us jobless, Feng Jian cried. This is simply too much. He wept so intensely that he fainted multiple times. Taking advantage of the moment, Liu Ryan and Zhang Fan rushed to release their so-called evidence. Liu Ryan claimed I was her boyfriend and posted screenshots of me leaving a hotel with another woman, accusing me of cheating during our relationship. She also said that I had oppressed her afterwards, making her life unbearable. Zhang Fan, on the other hand, accused me of stealing Feng Jian's program and claimed I led bullying cliques within the company. She shared surveillance screenshots deliberately taken out of context. In no time, hashtags about the Feng Corporation's arrogant air bullying others, and disfiguring someone's face began to trend. A wave of people swarmed to the company's official website, leaving angry comments and calls for a boycott. My personal information was exposed, and my phone was overwhelmed with calls. Some even circulated fake obituary photos of me, while others spread false videos allegedly of me with various women. The rumors spread like wildfire. The reputation of the Feng Corporation suffered a severe blow. In the face of this chaos, I found that the online storm had come at just the right time. If they wanted to use public pressure to force my hand, I would let them experience the sting of backlash themselves. On the third day after the videos went viral, I finally decided to go live using the company's official account. The moment the broadcast started, people flooded the chat hurling insults at me. How can a despicable person like you still be the company's heir? It's disgusting just to see your face. You're an animal. How can you sit there with any semblance of dignity after disfiguring someone? Looks like the Feng Corporation has reached its limit. One comment sneered, with an air like that, the company is bound to go under. Just look at his behavior. He's definitely the type who plays around. Another added, who knows what kind of dirty diseases he might have. The flood of insults poured in like an unstoppable tide. My father, standing beside me, moved to end the live stream, but I stopped him. The harsher the insults now, the more viciously they would turn against Liu Ryan and the others later. I know you all hate me, I began, but I want you to know that much of this has been maliciously manipulated. So here and now, I'm going to present my evidence. Let's clear up what's true and what's false. Then you can judge for yourselves. As for those of you who've insulted and defamed me, our legal team will be collecting evidence and pursuing lawsuits. I smiled calmly as I displayed the unedited, restored version of the videos they had cut and altered. From Feng Jian tearing my shirt, to their attempt to steal my USB drive, to the moment when Liu Ryan crushed my fingers under her heel, and Zhang Fan pinning me down to the ground. The footage even showed them threatening to pour boiling water on my face. If anyone has doubts about this video's authenticity, I said evenly, you're welcome to have it examined. The Feng Corporation will cover the costs. From start to finish, I have done nothing that would weigh on my conscience. But as for them, they've hurt me over and over again. My father simply chose not to waste resources on those who didn't deserve it. Does anyone have a problem with that? Facing the clarity of the high-definition footage, the barrage of insults came to an abrupt halt. For a moment, the chat was silent, frozen. Even the most skeptical viewers seemed stunned by the revelation. No one expected the truth to be like this. Murmurs began to ripple through the audience. But that wasn't all. I then presented a series of hotel records and photos. They clearly showed Feng Jian with different women, and shockingly, even with 2 men at one point. As for the accusations they made against me, I said, I can clarify every single one. The woman in the hotel picture with me, that's my mother. We were attending a banquet, and there was nothing improper about it. But Feng Jian's situation is another story altogether. Not only did he deliberately target married women, he also used his body to exchange for favors. He claimed that his last job ended because of workplace politics. But the truth is, he was caught having an affair with his female boss. Her husband found out, and that's why he left the job in disgrace. Without giving the viewers a moment to catch their breath, I initiated a live connection, and several people joined the stream. They each brought forth long-buried evidence, accusing Feng Jian of bullying them back in high school. Some boys had been targeted simply because their families were wealthy. Others, even for something as trivial as wearing the same clothes as him. The worst case involved a boy who suffered so much torment that he developed severe depression. In the end, he jumped from a building. The incident had blown up, and Feng Jian was expelled from school, but in pursuit of a better future. He had undergone plastic surgery and moved to a bigger city. Captivated by the glitz and luxury of the urban lifestyle, he became addicted to the thrill of getting everything he wanted without effort. He reveled in seeing women humiliate their loved ones for his favor, loved the way they showered, him with gifts and attention, and fabricated countless noble identities to keep up the act. He craved the admiration of everyone around him. With Feng Jian's secrets fully exposed, I turned my attention to the false accusations made by Zhang Fan. The program was mine. I began, coded piece by piece from scratch. I've kept all the original source files with detailed timestamps and assets, as well as documentation of every project I've been involved with from my first job until now, all proving my skills and hard work. But as for Zhang Fan, I discovered that her academic thesis had signs of plagiarism. It had an alarmingly high 90% similarity rate with a previously published article. After comparing the documents and submitting an official report, her graduation thesis was put under renewed scrutiny. And sure enough, the accusations were confirmed. Her degree was revoked, and she was stripped of her graduation status. Now, she was nothing more than a college dropout. I presented each piece of irrefutable evidence, leaving them no room to dispute the facts. As for Liu Ryan, she was indeed my ex-girlfriend. But everyone could clearly see by now, I hadn't exactly been great at choosing partners. I ended up with a gold digger who valued wealth over integrity, always wanting the best of both worlds. So I made the clean break without hesitation. I had no lingering affection for her. Throughout our relationship, I had been the one putting in all the effort. Here's my purchase record, detailing everything I had ever given her. None of it was cheap. From gifts worth a few thousand, to items costing tens of thousands. But when it came to her gifts to me, they were always worth a mere 100 or 2, 3 or 400 for belts or shirts, at best. The most expensive gift she ever gave was a suit just a few days ago, and even that was ruined by Feng Jian. Initially, I thought her modest family background explained her frugality. I believed her gifts were already quite generous. But after everything, I realized it wasn't that she didn't want to spend money. She just didn't want to spend money on me. After presenting this evidence, I threw in yet another bombshell. Liu Ryan had used her position at the company to embezzle tens of thousands of dollars in company funds, all to buy luxury goods for Feng Jian. The audience was stunned. They had seen people fawning over others before, but never to this extreme, risking her own career just to shower Feng Jian with gifts. Haven't you heard? Feng Jian was pretending to be a wealthy young master, and Liu Ryan, in her desperation to climb the social ladder, was more than willing to spend whatever it took. In the end, she gambled it all and lost. She discarded the real young master, only to cling to an imposter. The internet's mocking was relentless, leaving the three of them hiding behind their screens, seething with fury. Liu Ryan was in shock, unable to fathom how I managed to uncover all this. Just as she was about to call me, there was a loud knock on her door. "Hello? Are you Liu Ryan? You are currently under suspicion of embezzling public funds. Please come with us." The arrival of the police shattered Liu Ryan's last shred of hope. She didn't even have the chance to resist before they took her away. After the live broadcast, the reputation of the Feng Corporation made a remarkable comeback. We were no longer a target of scorn. Instead, people sympathized with my story. Those who had once hurled insults at me either issued public apologies or went on a shopping spree, buying our products to make amends, without me even realizing it. The company's reputation had surprisingly risen by 5 percentage points compared to the same period last year. I couldn't help but chuckle at the irony of it all. But then I remembered, this was the result of my public humiliation. I had earned it through suffering. Yet, unlike my sense of relief, Feng Jian was living in torment. His earlier sob stories had led to the exposure of the hospital treating him. Many people had come to see him, offering him money and support. But now, he had become their target. Angry netizens stormed over, surrounding Feng Jian with a chorus of insults. Terrified, he fled into the restroom, afraid to show his face. Yet even in that moment, a few furious men burst in after him. They seized his hair and shoved him down into the toilet, with his bandaged face submerged in filthy water. The sting made him writhe in agony. "Return my son! You're the one who killed my boy. Why don't you just die?" An elderly man, his eyes filled with hatred, pressed down hard on him. He was the father of the boy who had jumped from the building due to depression. Watching the man he considered a killer sink to this level, the satisfaction was almost palpable. The other men surrounding him were similarly enraged. Some had suffered because their own sons were bullied, while others had seen their families shattered by Feng Jian's actions. Their hatred for him ran deep. In that moment, well, those men didn't kill him. The dirty water he was submerged in caused severe infections to his wounds, though not fatal. He would bear the scars for life. He was destined to live with that horrific face forever. He would no longer be able to casually seduce men or women to use him for his own ends. Hearing about Feng Jian's downfall, I was at the HR department reviewing the resumes of new hires. This was the perfect punishment for him. He had ruined my career, and I intended to make every day of his life a living hell. Lost in my thoughts, I suddenly heard voices of pleading outside. As I stepped out, I saw Zhongfan desperately holding up her resume, pleading continuously. "Please, give me a chance. I'm Chong Wei's senior, and we have a great relationship. Please hire me. I promise I'll work hard. Just call him out. I can talk to him." Zhongfan no longer resembled the glamorous person she used to be. Her disheveled suit hung loosely on her frame, and it was clear she had fallen on hard times recently. She had been dismissed from the company. Her graduation certificate had been revoked, and her reputation in the industry was now in tatters. Any company aware of the situation would steer clear of her. A simple background check would reveal everything: plagiarism and a lack of integrity. Why would anyone want to hire someone like that? She had hit wall after wall in her job search. In the end, she had no choice but to come to me. But given her past actions, how could I help her? I instructed the security to escort her out. "Don't ever let her back in," I ordered. "As long as I'm here, she can forget about setting foot in the Feng Corporation again." Watching Zhongfan being thrown out, the bitterness in my heart began to fade away. Let those three suffer their own consequences, living in misery to atone for their sins. Every one of them deserved it. I had moved on, and now it was their turn to face the music.